Are you being taxed for the name of your PC parts? And if so, where are those tax dollars going? Well, we're doing a bit of digging into the Asus or ROG tax, and we're gonna lay out what we found while we're looking at their new lineup of Z890 and X870 motherboards right here, right now on Robeytech. Now, first and foremost, this is not a paid video, nor is it sponsored in any way. Though Asus did send us the motherboards, and this is where we decided to do this own video about this without any of their intervention. To be honest, we didn't even set out to make this video. The topic kind of found us while we were working on our review of the Asus Z890 motherboards, which, full disclosure, they did, like I said, send us for a review, but that's not the reason we decided to do this. As we were working on writing the original script, it was massive, like Lord of the Rings Extended Edition massive, and we were trying to decide what was needed to stay and what needed to be cut. And we started having a conversation about pricing and value, and it made us ask the follow-up question about the alleged Asus ROG tax. Now, you've probably heard about the Asus tax or the ROG tax, right? At this point, it's pretty much a meme. If the tax exists, does Asus do anything to sweeten the deal for consumers who might be looking to spending extra cash on the motherboard, or does any extra just buy you a fancy name? As always, understand that not everyone values the same things and that any value assessment comes down to you, the consumer. This video is just gonna lay the information out there. Now, there's also gonna be a part 2 of this video, but that is gonna be much more focused in terms of an overview of Asus motherboards themselves, talking about what sets them apart from one another. So make sure you hit those likes, subscribes, and notification bells so you don't miss that video when it actually drops. I know that's a lot of upfront, so let's get started with the price range of Z890 motherboards to see if we start getting a clearer answer to our questions. Now, if we look at Newegg for new motherboards, brands readily available in the US have a price range from anywhere between $190 to around $1,000 for a Z890 and around $200 to $1,100 for an X870. At entry level, most companies have a motherboard around $220 to the $230 mark for Wi-Fi equipped boards. Now, we're referencing ATX and EATX motherboards here, so it's possible to find something outside of that price range if you go smaller. As we mentioned earlier, Asus has a number of product segments with different users in mind. If you've been around the PC DIY space, you're probably familiar with Prime, TUF Gaming, ROG Strix, ROG Maximus, and ProArt. We're gonna stick with talking about these boards because they're more likely the ones builders are gonna use inside of their PCs. Asus also does have workstation, business, and corporate segments, but we're not gonna focus on those today. However, looking at the 5 segments we did mention, Asus gets out of the gate with their Asus Prime Z890-P Wi-Fi and X870-P Wi-Fi for around $250 and stretches all the way up to the $1,000 mark with the Asus ROG Maximus Z890 Extreme. As for their AMD flagships, they have the ROG Crosshair X870-E Hero. That board has an MSRP of around $700. Now, those are some expensive boards, but that ROG Maximus Extreme board does share that price point with the Asus Z890 Taichi Aqua, so it's not 100% lonely at the top price of the bracket. Now, when we look throughout the $250 to $1,000 price range, there are comparably priced boards from MSI, Gigabyte, and ASRock at just about every segment. So it's kind of hard to say that there's a tax at work here. Take, for example, the MSI Carbon, ASRock Taichi, the Aorus Master, and the Asus ROG Strix Z870-E. All of these occupy an enthusiast tier. So if the meme is correct, the Asus board has to blow the others out of the water at price, right? Well, the Aorus Master is around $600. The Taichi is either $500 for the original or $600 for the Overclock Formula Edition. The Carbon is $500, and the Strix E is $500. But what about X870? Well, if we look at these same enthusiast models, MSI, ASRock, Gigabyte, and Asus boards all retail for around $500. But we did see where the ROG Strix X870-E's price was reduced to $480. That's just one example. Well, what about white motherboards for those crisp and clean Arctic builds? This one gets a bit trickier to compare because we're looking at style and not features. Let me just show you what I mean with the Z890 side, since the picture is a bit more sparse on the X870 side of things. You could be looking at anywhere from $230 to $1,000 for a white Mobo, which is a broad price range, but it's also pretty amazing that there are so many options on the market. Again, we're only looking at motherboards in this video, but this doesn't really paint a picture of taxation here. However, we have to go back to one of the original questions. Is those places where Asus motherboards are more expensive, does Asus do anything to sweeten the deal? The question is especially important at that entry level where it does look like there's a bit of a premium for Asus boards. Well, Asus has some core, non-negotiable hardware, software, and BIOS features that carry throughout all of their motherboards. Starting with hardware, Asus motherboards have at least one PCI Gen 5 x 16 slot with Q release for easy removal, Wi-Fi 7 with Asus's Q antenna for quick and easy connections, and integrated I/O shield, and more. Now, I want to go back to Q release because you may have seen this quick release feature on other high-end Z790 and X670 boards from previous generations. On the Prime and TUF Gaming boards, the Q release has the same button mechanism, But remember, like the other features we've talked about, this is the baseline. On the TUF Gaming Z870-Pro, ASUS introduces Q-Release Slim mechanisms with PCIe Safe Slot. Safe Slot is ASUS's name for their reinforced PCIe lane, while Q-Release Slim updates the way you uninstall a GPU. With a simple tilt, the GPU unlocks from the slot, allowing you to remove it easier. This is great for DIYers who like to add NVMe storage. The Q-Release Slim is great for system integrators who want to add Instapack and not have Instapack push the button and eject the GPU. Oh, and from this tier onward, Q-Release Slim is actually the standard. Now, sticking in the ballpark of PCI devices, we have to point out a couple of features with their PCI 5 M.2 slot. This thing has ASUS's Q-Latch system, and if you're picking up on a Q-based theme, ASUS has a whole Q design category. Okay, so what about Q-Latch? What is it? Well, it's an easy push tab mechanism that holds your NVMe drive in place without the need of small screws. Now, moving on to another cool hardware feature, ASUS's motherboards have some built-in safeguards for both CPU power and 24-pin connections. ASUS uses thicker pins to reduce electrical resistances and to help reduce temperatures through better current handling. The Ethernet ports are actually equipped with ASUS LAN guard to protect against surges, spikes, and sag on the low voltage lines, and if you live in a place where power fluctuation is common, these are great peace of mind features. Okay, so that was a bit on the hardware side. Let's talk about BIOS and software. For starters, ASUS motherboards all have a suite of built-in controls that we're going to unpack, as well as a 1080p BIOS. I know that latter thing doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's a nice touch for all of those who spend more than a few seconds inside of the BIOS. Now, since we're talking about BIOS, the motherboards we're showing here all have Easy Flash 4 that allow users to update their UEFI BIOS without decompressing files. That means you can slap a compressed BIOS update onto a flash drive and update your system, or if the file exists on an installed SSD, Easy Flash 4 can grab it from there as well. This is super convenient if you're someone who regularly misplaces your BIOS update drive, which I'm still looking for mine. There's also Q Dashboard, which gives an intuitive picture of how and where devices are connected to your motherboard. This can be super helpful if you're trying to track down a fan or RGB header that isn't quite plugged in properly. Speaking of fans, ASUS has updated their fan controls, allowing you to set up to an 8-point fan curve. But if you don't want to mess with fan controls yourself, you can hand control off to ASUS AI Cooling 2 to set your cooling curve for you. By the way, cooling curve is super important if you're going to be using ASUS's AI overclocking guide. Now, this is important if you're dabbing in CPU overclocking, because this feature offers sustained monitoring of your CPU temperature, current, and voltage. AIOC also provides a point of reference for your quality of your CPU, verifying its voltage and frequency curve. Using this information, AI overclocking will also scale based on your cooling and gives users control of how aggressively or conservatively they want to be with their overclocking within some established limits. Now, in that same vein of intelligent assistance, ASUS motherboards also have DIMM-FIT. This feature helps improve overall memory stability, especially if you're running higher speed kits or have mixed configurations. There's also AI Network 2, which shows network strength, monitors traffic, and shows wireless channel spectrum data. Now, since we're talking about AI tasks, we have to talk about two features that ASUS offers on their Z890 boards. The first is NPU Boost to help increase NPU performance by up to 20%. There's also ASUS AI Advisor. AI Advisor uses large language models to assist users optimizing and debugging their systems. Now, back to the general motherboard features for both platforms. All ASUS AI Suite softwares can be controlled through ASUS Armoury Crate or through a separate AI Advisor app. Now, speaking of Armoury Crate, we know that it's not everyone's basically favorite program, and ASUS has heard that loud and clear. No, it's not going away per se, but they've introduced this thing called the new Driver Hub application as a driver installation and updating utility separate from Armoury Crate. Driver Hub aims to be a lighter app to help speed up the installation and update process, which, if you watch some of our streams, can be really long. But once it's installed, it will install your LAN drivers, then send you to a web-based interface to select all of your system drivers. All right, whew, that's a lot of word soup. Everything we shared with you though, that's the baseline features, the pricing, and the scaling. All of that sounds good, but there is a question here that only you can answer. Do these features hold any value for you, and are these features that you will actually use? There isn't a wrong answer here. For someone who needs an easier experience installing NVMe drives, or for someone looking to add storage after you basically finish your build, features like Q-Latch and Q-Release Slim might be game changers. For the person who wants finite access to their fan curve, AI Cooling 2 might sound exciting. For the person that just wants a motherboard and doesn't care, well, you have to decide if the aesthetics are enough for you. When we look at the whole picture, there are a number of quality of life features that we see as benefits for everyone. And whether you wanted them or not, they're there. This is where you are the judge and the jury. But with all this in mind, you may want to hold off a bit on your final judgment until our next video. We take a closer look at how ASUS builds on their baseline. But until then, we hope we answered this age-old question and gave you a better picture of ASUS motherboards and what you might get for the price. But we want to hear what you think down in the comments below. What was a feature that you could see yourself using that someone else might not? And what do you think about the ASUS baseline of features? And do you think it's okay to have a baseline, or should they just make them cheaper? Let us know down in the comments below. Now, while you're down there, make sure you slap that subscribe button, whip that like button, and ring that notification bell so that you get a notification each and every time we post videos like this right here on Robeytech. And if you want to continue the conversation and see what might be the right motherboard for you, head over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. Amazing place to talk to other tech and PC enthusiasts who love to talk about these very same questions. You know what? You might just make a friend. Also, make sure you follow us on all the other socials at Robeytech, absolutely everywhere. Thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you on the next one.